Oh, yeah. Welcome to Pot of Thunder, the recognized symbol of excellence in rock and roll podcasting, brought to you by Blue Microphones. They look great. They sound even better. And guess who it is?
It's my buddy Andy.
That's right. It's your buddy Andy, America's little brother. And as always, I'm joined by the one, the only, gnarly Nick the Garlic Dragon.
Bam! Bam!
There he is. Nick, how are you?
Yeah, bam, bam, indeed. You guys may hear some fireworks. I have the window open.
Oh, it's that time of year.
It's some of the wild idiots that live around here are blowing them off already.
I'll check that off the list.
Hey,
that
man,
was quick.
They're uncorking it after all this time and sheltering in place. They're letting out some of that wound up tension. So
yeah, and it's that time of the year where in our part of the country, fireworks are going pretty much from, well, it's the end of May here, so May through August.
Every night you hear a couple, yeah.
Yep. So it's that time, and guess what else time it is? Yes. Time to introduce the man of the hour. Oh, I hope the roof's on tight.
He was a moocher, a card cheat, a country club golf hustler, a scumbag.
That's right. Put your hands together for the breakout star of the podcast medium, Chris Elp.
I heard Chris is actually a mini golf club hustler. That's what I've heard. Not a country club.
you heard wrong.
So it's country club. It's not mini golf.
Speaking of mini golf, have you guys seen the ads for this Holy Moly show that's on ABC?
No, is it one of those folly shows? Some type of physical follies?
So. I don't know. But it's like, is it time for Rob Riggle to just vanish? I mean, is this guy like overexposed yet to anybody else? Or
I honestly don't know who he is.
Yeah, well, consider yourself fortunate. This guy has just infiltrated all sorts of things, and he needs to vanish.
I felt that same way about Rob Dibble about 30 years ago.
Yeah, same deal. He needs to be canceled. He needs somebody to hold him accountable for what he's done.
Mm-hmm. He'll thank them later.
Yes, exactly.
Is it some kind of game show? Is that what and he's the host, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it's just like a mini golf themed type. Like, I can't remember what those shows were where like adults were on obstacle courses and getting violently knocked off by something. It's that kind of
yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Who watches this shit?
I don't know,
I
but
mean,
there's a theme. They're always on
with
ABC.
All the streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with all the streaming alternatives, who's actually watching this crap?
I want to say that on one of those, I think it was Wipeout, right, is one of those shows that you're referring to?
Yep.
Probably, yeah.
And I want to say that I didn't watch it, but I want to say I read somewhere that Todd Howarth from Fraley's Comet was a contestant at one point on Wipeout.
Wow. Perfect. Was he introduced that way? What's going on? I think we lost him. There he is.
I don't know.
All right, guys. So we're here. It's another lockdown episode. And then the bad news gets worse. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Today we found out that KISS contributor, musical icon, at least in our world, and from as far as we could tell, all around good guy, Bob Kulick passed away earlier today.
Yep, Grammy-winning producer as well.
That's right.
We'll leave that off.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Former contestant of Wipeout. Possibly, I don't know. I didn't see it. Maybe my notes here are incorrect.
Well, honestly, who's going to look it up and prove you wrong right now?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to take the time to research all the contestants of Wipeout?
Once charged, Rob Dibble after an inside fastball.
I mean, this is just some of the stuff he's known for.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sad. I saw it first on his brother Bruce Kulick's Facebook page, so it makes it even sadder that that's the source, that it came from, his own brother.
It's terrible.
And it made me do some thinking and looking up stuff and watching the one of the videos that someone took of the I think it was 2013. 2013. It was the first Kiss Expo that we went to, I believe, together, and he played and did a couple of his Alive 2 tracks, and I just remember that show and then seeing him play another time at the Indie Expo and being absolutely in love with his performance style, just how enthusiastic and how much you could tell he was absolutely getting a thrill being up playing it. And he's one of the people that when I think of him playing live, it's like you can tell, like we talk about Pitbull in this way also, you can tell he actually is having a great time. Like it's not just part of, we're gonna for the audience's benefit. So I always look back on those performances with.
You look back on those performances with what?
Oh, I'm sorry, I cut out there. With great fondness.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I felt the same way. He seemed to have a smile on his face all the time when he was performing.
Yeah. So. And the he would great faces, like the smile, but also when he'd hit a note, he would. It wasn't, some guitar players look pained when they're playing a certain thing. His wasn't. It wasn't pain exactly.
He looked like he was administering.
Sort of
he was administering the pain.
I'll give you that. That's good.
Yeah, there was some kind of pleasure into what he was doing to the instrument.
Yes, there was.
So, as a result, I lose my turn again. What kind of... just kidding.
Man.
All right, so we're going to do something special today. Nick's going to call it. Nick, what are we going to do?
We're going to do a Bob Kulick song.
Okay. Do you know which one we're going to do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So if you want, I can introduce it if you want to get right into it, unless if Chris has something to interject with beforehand.
Only that I haven't seen anything about it. Maybe there's been some updates, but as of the moment here that we're recording, there's been no revelation of the cause of death. It all seems kind of sudden. No public, release of any illness on Bob's part. So, it unfortunately sounds like a sudden, unexpected thing. And then when you factor in the times we're living in, people are not getting the proper funerals, send-offs they deserve, especially somebody of his magnitude. A close friend of mine passed away a few weeks ago, and there was no funeral. We weren't able to have it. I mean, they're just closest family, but it's really a shame when somebody passes away at this particular time in our lives because they just don't get the send off they deserve. So that makes a kind of especially a sad thing that's happened. But the best thing to do is celebrate somebody's life, and in this case, celebrate a piece of music he created. So that's what we're here to do.
Well, let's do that. Nick, let's give this a shot. See if there's not too much of a delay here. Time to turn the microphone over to Chris Jericho.
All right, Hamill. This one's called
Sweet Victory.
Off of
The Yellow Album.
by the band
SpongeBob Squarepants.
By the band. What the?
Well, not really.
SpongeBob
It's on the
Squarepants.
SpongeBob. It's on an album. It's by David. I'm guessing it's Eisley or Easley. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. We'll say Eisley.
One of the Eisley brothers.
David Eisley and Bob Kulick.
Okay.
And this song was featured in a. I'm going to guess most of the people listening to this have heard the song or are aware of it because it was actually in the news early last year.
Why is that?
Early last.
Yeah, because they were. So I'm not reading this off of anything, but from what I recall, the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants passed away, and then they wanted to have this song. There was an online petition. A lot of people signed it, I believe, and they wanted this song to be featured at the Super Bowl halftime show, the one that was happening right after that, which I believe was last year, early 2019. And it didn't happen to my knowledge.
No.
What is that?
Happen. Why would they?
Yeah, what's
why
the
would they
connection?
Play this at a halftime show.
Well, in tribute to they wanted it as a tribute to the guy who created the show, and because the way that this song gets used, I've seen the episode. My kids watch SpongeBob actually, and this song is part of. It's basically a halftime performance at a big sporting event. This song is performed in the actual SpongeBob episode by the cartoon creator.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted to kind of bring all that together. So it was. It's a song that was kind of sort of in the news, and I would venture to say, as far as Bob Kulick's work, it's probably the best known, or almost for sure.
So
that's interesting because I'd never heard of it before today, and this obviously would be the first time for me hearing it. So, but it's good that he was associated with a prominent brand like that, and hopefully perpetuated or forwarded his career somehow. When did this originally come out? Was it last year, 2 years ago?
The episode is from 2001, it says.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's an enduring hit at this point. And,
so this isn't even
19 years later.
I was thinking this is from one of the movies. This is from an episode of the show, huh?
Yeah, this is from one of the first few seasons, I think, second or third.
I was going to say 2001
probably.
was pretty early on for them.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they brought in the big guns for the motion picture, the SpongeBob film.
Oh, they do that too. But
okay,
yeah,
very cool. So I'm assuming that in the episode there's snippets of this, but this is a full length song. It's 3 minutes 51 seconds.
Yeah. If you guys want, I can give you a real quick synopsis of the episode. There's one of the characters is confronted with an old classmate who is very successful, and the main character in it is not. So he's pretending to be, and he puts together this marching band for a big sporting event. And they're terrible. They don't know what they're doing, and he's just thinking it's going to be a disaster. And then, for whatever reason, at the climactic end of the episode, they bust into this out of nowhere.
Okay.
And bring the house down. So.
Okay. Do you guys know anything about David Eisley or Eisley, whatever we're calling him? I know nothing about him.
I think I read that he's wait, is he married to Olivia Hussey?
Oh, I don't know.
It could be.
Yes, he is. He sure is. I just didn't know if there was anything about his musical career that we know, or not really. I don't know anything.
I'm looking right now. It says that he was in album-oriented rock bands, none of which I'm familiar with, but...
Oh, here's something. It says the song was written in 1997, and then in 2001 it was featured on that episode, so it was sitting around for 4 years.
You wonder, how many songs people they crank out a song and they're like, all right, we'll just kind of put it out there and see if anybody in the industry will want it at any point, and then, lightning strikes for them.
Yeah.
The big TV show gets it.
Right.
Yeah, it's always kind of interesting when you find out or hear about how these songs just circulate around and like people pass on them, and some artist picks it up or some TV show picks it up and suddenly it's a hit. So, there's always a possibility that whatever you put out there is going to become a runaway success. That's not something that's happened to this podcast, unfortunately.
I was just going to say, which is why we're still here 7 years later.
Yeah, but in terms of like, people writing songs and producer deciding it's not right for a certain band, but it might be good for another band. I think back to Hide Your Heart, where you had like Bonnie Tyler did it, Molly Hatchet did it, Ace did a version of it, and it also ended up on a Kiss album. So it's just very interesting how certain songs take on a new life, or they just simply die on the vine and you never hear them whatsoever. So it's all very interesting and somewhat random. But like I said, I wasn't even aware of this song, period. So I certainly haven't heard it. So this will be a new discovery for me.
And I don't know who plays what exactly. I know it's Bob Kulick on guitars at least, and this David Eisley on vocals. It's about all I can find. But all we need to know is that Bob Kulick is on it, right? That's the main goal for today.
That's the important thing. But go ahead.
I saw a thing earlier, like the top 5 Bob Kulick songs, and this was in the number 1 slot, and it did mention that he has a pretty ripping guitar solo on it, so I'm looking forward to hearing that for sure.
I'm still confused with the Super Bowl thing, because I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and it says that this song reached number 23 on the Hot Rock Songs chart in February 2019 after Super Bowl, whatever number it was. So just because people said it should be part of it, how did that get this song back in the public eye to the point where it was number 23 on a rock chart?
Well, I think a ton of people signed this online petition, so it got a lot of attention.
Okay. I had no idea. Apparently.
And then I want to say that I read somewhere that even though it did not get featured during the Super Bowl halftime show, that I think it was the Dallas Stars did some sort of a video where they put it into some kind of thing at one of their games.
Okay.
And I think that kind of took off a little bit too.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm clueless to all this notoriety of the song, so I'm definitely stoked to hear it and, pay our little tribute to Bob, who we've all met at Kiss Expos, and despite what transpired in recent years with the Kulick brothers dust up, he was always seemed like a great guy. So it's really a shame this happened, but we will honor him and his music on this episode.
All right. Well, if you guys are ready, I'm ready. But first, a word from this company that you really need to buy something from. You know what? On second thought, after hearing that, save your money. All right, here we go.
Winner takes all. It's the thrill of one more kill.
I've totally heard this song before, and I didn't
Yeah.
even realize what it was. Okay, that's funny.
It's pretty hysterical in the episode, in my opinion, because you see SpongeBob singing this out of nowhere with this kind of voice and very intense
Yeah.
mood. It's
Yeah, I've never heard it, but I'm instantly getting a Rocky IV, Robert Tepper, No Easy Way Out
Yeah.
vibe from it. That kind of movie soundtrack cut, which is not a slam. I'm a big fan of the Robert Tepper song, and so far I'm liking the vocal style. I think like Nick just mentioned, seeing SpongeBob deliver this would probably be quite amusing. So far, so good.
All right.
The last one to fall will never sacrifice their will. Don't ever look back on the world closing in. Be on the attack with your wings on the wind. All the games will begin.
some great lyrics there.
Give it to us.
Okay, so don't ever look back on the world closing in. Be on the attack with your wings on the wind. Oh, the games will begin.
That's quality stuff right
Yeah.
there.
You know, it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm not making fun of this, but just the fact that they wrote it. It's at least as far as what we just read on the internet, which might be wrong, but it sounds like they wrote it with all sincerity, and then it was used as a comedy piece. But the sincerity adds to the humor, like when you combine it with the visual.
Yeah.
But they really did go back to what Chris said, like movie soundtracks of the 80s, specifically probably like a Rocky IV, and like, okay, let's absorb some of this, mix it up in a blender, and make one of these songs. And that's how the lyrics come across.
I see, and I only know it as being associated with the comedic visual. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to separate it from that. But yeah, after finding out that it wasn't written for that purpose necessarily, that it was a song that was written, here it is. If anybody wants it, it'll be there. And that's really cool and really unique because I guess the song's no different. If it was used in a Stallone movie, it'd still be the same song. Mm-hmm. But it's funny how once the artist puts it out there, it can have a totally 180 degree different sort of a vibe going on with it, just depending on who gets it and what they do with it.
Yeah.
And the song itself is not going to change.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, this Eisley guy, while we can't really pinpoint him, as an individual artist, clearly had made a career for himself in music, and one way to do that is to, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I mean it's a viable way to make a living, is to become a formulaic songwriter, meaning that you can, like Andy alluded to, just sort of create one of these ready-made soundtrack type songs, churn them out and offer them up, and you get paid for your songwriting work, maybe negotiate some residuals if it becomes a hit. But pros in the industry can, they know the formula, they know the way to structure a song like this, and that's what they do for a living, and they can do it on the regular. So I think that's what we're hearing here, and eventually got used in the SpongeBob show, and eventually, or clearly, became quite successful. I mean, it's doesn't matter that I've never heard it. I'm about as out of touch as any human being can be these days. But they created something very successful here, and that's what professional musicians and songwriters do. And that's I think that's what everybody says about Bob Kulick. The guy was a pro. He wasn't selected to be a member of KISS. He lost that gig to the guy who followed him at the original audition, Ace Frehley. And then when it was time to replace that slot down the road, they gave the position to his brother, which I believe Bob referred Bruce to Gene and Paul, So, I think that Bob was a total pro who understood his role and did it extremely well, and could play and write and produce and did it all. It was great.
You know what else this reminds me of? It reminds me of the Real Men of Genius commercials. With,
yes.
What's his name? Survivor Dave Bickler.
Yep.
Good one. Yeah.
And then, as I was reminded recently by the guys on the Deep Purple podcast, one Jolyn Turner does a lot of vocals for brands and their advertising. So there's another viable way to make some legit money in this industry, which there aren't tons of ways to do that, but to lend your voice to something essentially doing voiceover work is a great way to get paid. Because I think some stuff like that, you get some sort of residual every time those ads get played somewhere. So if you can land a gig like that, you're set, man.
Yeah, it's not viewed as, the zenith of artistic expression or anything like that, but
about that.
But how great would it be to have that job? That'd be awesome.
In many ways, that's the dream. You don't have the grind of touring. You're not in the public scrutiny. For example, this broad who plays Flo, the Progressive Insurance mascot, or whatever you want to call her.
Yeah,
that chick is rolling in it, man. I mean, to land a gig like that as an actress or actor, in terms of sustaining a lucrative lifestyle off of acting, that it doesn't get a whole lot better than that, short of being like a huge movie star. But for a working actor and actress, it's the goddamn dream right there.
Yeah, I think about that every time I see one of those commercials. That campaign with that Flo lady's been, maybe 10, 12 years? Nothing lasts that long where they keep the same spokesperson for that many years.
Well, it's like the Dunkin' Donuts time to make the donuts guy.
Yeah, how long was he there?
How long was that guy around? I don't know. 20-something years probably. I don't know.
That's good.
Well, and speaking of that, and an unfortunate example of what we're talking about, which I was reminded of, I was watching an old Saturday Night Live. How about Fogel, the Subway spokes?
Oh, yeah.
That guy really.
He had a good run.
That guy's like took an unfortunate turn, as did the lives of several underage children.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Crossed his path, but
he had a meteoric rise and an asteroidic downfall.
Yes, yeah. But bringing it back to the music. This is how Bob made his living, and what a career the guy had. A lot of people would say he maybe got shortchanged because he never got the slot in the band, but in many ways his career was probably better and worked better for him. So,
yeah, and I mean, I remember seeing the video of when it was him, Dave Grohl, and Lemmy in a room together, and they did a Christmas song for one of those. I don't know if he did the whole album, produced it, but because he did a lot of covers, kind of all-star cover albums and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, he got to just kind of do stuff like that. Work with Motorhead and all these other people and just call them in and, hey, I want to record Run Run Rudolph. And so he gets these two guys to come play with him. Not bad.
They won his Grammy doing that. So
there you go.
And also this, I don't know. Do you think this song is his hottest commodity? I would assume, but didn't he? He produced The Game by Motorhead, but I don't think he co-wrote it. That might be the difference there. But
maybe, but yeah,
because that song had been heard many times by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. I would say that one, but only because I'm more familiar with it. But I'm learning today that this song had a huge resurgence last year. So, all right, well, there's a long way to go, so let's keep going.
And it's sweet, sweet, sweet victory. And it's ours for the taking. It's ours for the fight. And the sweet, sweet, sweet victory. And the waters has to fall. Don't win no silver. Ooh, you only lose the gold. You push with a fever.
Nick's laughing.
That's it. That might be one of my new favorite lyrics. Because in the episode it doesn't go to this part, the SpongeBob one.
Okay.
You don't win no silver. You only lose the gold.
Yeah. Again,
that's awesome.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing at it or not, but I am. I'm getting joy from it, and that's what counts.
You made the perfect call when you said those Real American Hero radio commercials.
Yeah.
It's got the exact same vibe as that. I mean, whether they, when they put it out, they wanted it to be taken absolutely serious or whatever. It's just a song that they did, and they just wanted someone to take it for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has that over the top. It counts as a power ballad, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Would you say musically, at least?
Yeah, I think it's probably borderline there because it's not really. It's not much of a song about an affair of the heart. It's more of the, sweet victory. Obviously, it's more one of those self-empowering tunes, But I could qualify, I suppose.
Well, if it is, it's one of my favorite ones, legitimately. Because we've talked about this before, and I don't have very many that I really like, but I do like this one quite a bit.
All right.
Oh, for your time keeps tolling on. Against all the odds, against all your pain, your back's on the wall with no one to blame. While hearts won't be tamed, and it's sweet, sweet, sweet victory.
That was not a firework out here, I don't think. I think that was something in the song.
Yep. That was Bob.
That was Bob, yeah. There was that guitar fill totally made me think of something that could have been on one of his Alive 2 tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the pre-chorus there, or the end of the verse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to hear something like that. That's reminiscent. That takes us. We can loop it back around to our original objective of this podcast, which was all the Kiss songs.
Mm-hmm. Alive 2 stuff and Killers stuff. Whatever else Bob had his hands in, right?
Yeah, I sort of remember his answer, but I remember during the Q&A I asked him what other sort of stuff he would have recorded that was just kind of laying around, and he said that he did some stuff for Creatures of the Night, like didn't make it on the album, but he did record some stuff during the pre-production, I guess, demo phase of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to think all that stuff's just kind of there. We'll probably never hear it.
Yeah.
It exists.
That's pretty cool, yeah. Too bad. That's something. It would be something I think Kiss fans would love to hear, but I think there'd be no reason for them to release it, unfortunately.
Well, the thing about Kiss fans is they want to hear literally everything that's ever been done.
Yeah, which is why
they want to see every photo. They want to read every quote.
Yeah.
They want to hear every bit of music ever recorded by these guys.
It is funny when you see something on like one of the Kiss Facebook groups or something, someone posts a picture and people are like, what? I've never seen this. And it's just like some band photo where it's not, the photo itself isn't anything to write home about, but it's like, wait a minute, this is an outtake from this that's slightly different. Peter's foot is facing to the left. I've never seen this. Where did this come from? Can anyone, is there a certificate of authenticity?
Yeah, could someone authenticate this, please?
Yeah. What's the provenance of this photograph? Like a level of nerdity that's way, way beyond my.
Well, I mean, in some of those groups, whoever the photographer, their regular photographer was for a certain era, they're getting called out by first name by the diehard fans.
Yeah,
like, oh, this was when this must have been when Jimmy was going through his whatever phase with the band.
Yeah, but hey, more power to them. I'm laughing at them.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
Uh-huh.
It's just it is that way. It's and everybody knows Kiss fans are absolutely obsessive.
Yeah, it's that thing that I don't know if you guys were aware, but I don't think I really was. I thought I liked Kiss a lot until I realized how much other people like Kiss once we started doing this podcast. And it doesn't mean I don't like them, but there's no way that I was ever on that level of fandom.
Yeah, and I don't think I have the attention span.
No, I don't either.
For it.
No. No. To the layman, we're huge Kiss fans, but once you're in the world of crazy Kiss fans, we're somewhere near the bottom.
To all, with all the wild idiots that we grew up around, that was we were the Kiss guys.
Yeah,
but
there were guys who
we really aren't
punch
the Kiss
you on
guys,
the
apparently.
Punch you in the head on the roof. Those kind of wild idiots. Let's keep going.
It's ours for the taking. It's ours for the fight. And it's sweet, sweet victory. And the one is has to fall. Oh, the winners Take it! And the wall is last to fall. Sweet.
All right, we got to stop it there.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning of the solo.
We had
The winner takes
a
all.
great announcement.
Yep, the winner takes all. Take it. And then the solo kicks in. So Bob is the winner.
Yeah, I would say so, based on the performance. Again, a totally pro performance, completely appropriate for the type of song it is. And, it's just the work of a true professional. Great stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. There's that was a pretty great solo, and I wanted to also comment on the vocal performance. I like again, like the three of us, we're not really familiar with this gentleman singing it, but the guy's got a voice, man. Like he's a very big, very big, full sounding voice. He's got that little bit of grit going on. He can hit any note, it sounds like. It sounds to me almost like a Jeff Scott Soto kind of a voice. Yeah. And that's another guy who's got, he can pretty much hit any note he wanted to. So yeah, I mean, it between Bob Kulick and Mr. Eisley or Easley here, two, I would say, probably guys good enough to be studio ringers, just the utility guys for any band who needs anything. They could call these guys and they'll get the job done and do it well.
I got some more information here, guys. So here we go. So when they were storyboarding the episode of Spongebob, it said the idea was to have the story outline called for making it a really great marching band sequence. So they started searching Nickelodeon's library of music, and they said none of it was terribly funny. And then they came across this song, and it stood out. So there you go. So it was not written. It was 4 years prior, but we're confirming that it was not written for this in any way. It was recorded, and they had access to it in whatever Nickelodeon library that they subscribed to or whatever, going through different songs. And they're like, oh, this is much funnier than just having a marching band song at the end of the show.
Yeah, it was a real. It turned out to be a stroke of genius to use this in the way that they did. It was perfect.
All right, we got a little bit more to go. Let's wrap it up. There you have it. Masterfully done. So, Nick, since you chose this song, you're going to be the first vote. Sweet Surrender, Kick in the Crotch.
It's Sweet Victory, Sweet Surrender. It's all the same.
It's Sweet Surrender. Hell yes.
And in this case, it's Bob Kulick is the victor and we are the surrenderers, and it's sweetness on both sides. Always, I mean, I remember this from years ago. I'll admit, I was familiar with the song before I had kids. I had seen the episode, thought it was really funny. They would do stuff like this. Actually, we were talking. Andy was talking about the movies. They would do SpongeBob movies, and I think there's a new one coming out actually pretty soon. And they, in the first one, I think it's the very first one they did, they busted into a parody of "I Want to Rock," the Twisted Sister song.
Yeah.
And it also had a moment where you had David Lee Roth scatting from Just a Gigolo mixed in the middle there. So there's some cool hard rock moments throughout the SpongeBob canon or whatever. But back to this song, I've always enjoyed it. I always thought it was really funny the way they used it. But really, it's a great song, and it is interesting to think that if it was ever used for comedic purposes, it may have never even seen the light of day. But I'm assuming it's a drum machine. I don't know if there's an actual drummer who's credited on this. The performances are great, the guitar and vocals especially. And I think it's a fun song, and it's an over the top power ballady kind of thing, but it's got so much energy in it, and the performances are so good that I like it a lot more than pretty much most of the power ballads I've heard. So yeah. So thank you, Bob Kulick, for this for this bit of. So I'll pass it over to whoever wants it.
I'll vote next, and I too will give it a sweet surrender.
It's sweet surrender. Hell yes.
I'm trying to think of something you didn't say, because I agree with everything you said as far as the energy level for a song like this, because a lot of songs that are this tempo can seem to drag if the energy level's not there, if that makes sense, because it's not inherent to the music itself. It has to come from, I don't know if this makes sense. It has to come from the performer. The intensity has to come from the performer because the tempo is slower. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you almost get the feeling that the guy has to be just the slightest split second ahead of the beat. Like he's got to be really on it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So it doesn't sound lazy. I don't know. But this is performed masterfully by these guys. Like I said before, it's almost as if you picked a genre and like, all right, we're going to do a song like this. And then they did it perfectly, and it came out great. It's like as good as the songs that were hits in this style. And, you know, now we know it wasn't done to be comedic, but that was the way it was used. So, but yeah, as good as songs that were written, which, you know, it's kind of funny this was written in 97 because it seems like it should have been 10 years prior.
I saw a thing as I was looking for lyrics. Another site said 88, but who knows?
Oh,
who knows what's actually true?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't recorded in 88. You can tell that,
right?
But
that is interesting because this was not around. If it was 97, yeah, like you were saying, this is not something that was in vogue.
Yeah, there's no way.
Vogue wasn't even in vogue anymore in 97.
This definitely, you would not hear this on the radio between who would have been 97 bands. That's pre-Kid Rock. Maybe Korn would have been in there.
Korn was out, yeah.
Korn. Let's throw your guys' STP and then this song in the middle. That wouldn't have happened.
But I guess it's a whole different scene with these studio pros churning. They were probably churning out stuff like this all the time and just putting it out there for, like you were saying, it's in the Nickelodeon library. How does that happen? I don't know, but that's pretty fascinating.
And then you wonder what other quality songs exist that have no home, you know?
Yeah.
Chris, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, and again, a song like this is probably, certainly in modern times or even within the past 20 years, is probably not going to stand on its own as a hit single. It's either going to be presented in a movie or a TV show, just because the style of the music is so associated with that sort of application. So, I mean, to question if this could have stood on its own as a hit single is not really a question. The answer is almost assuredly no. But, you put it in the context of the storyline of a movie or a TV show, then suddenly it, gets the... people make that connection and they respond to the song that way. So my vote, out of respect to Bob and also out of respect to my favorite African-American porn star of either gender, Ray Victory, whose last name is invoked in the title, I will be giving this a sweet surrender.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
It's sweet surrender. Hell yes.
Now,
I mean...
No, sorry, go ahead.
It's, again, professionally executed, perfectly crafted for what the use of it eventually became, and it was probably intended for that use all along. Just the opportunity didn't arise immediately, and it's gained plenty of notoriety for despite the fact that I was completely clueless about it. I'll add all those things up, and that's a success by any professional musician's measuring stick. So, kind of hard not to give this one a sweet surrender, especially on an occasion such as this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you guys think that a song like this, because we were talking about the type of music and the times and what kind of use it could possibly get, do you think right now with, I don't know, like I'm off the top of my head, I don't really watch these shows, but you've got like the Goldbergs and you've got stuff where the comedy is in the nostalgia and the throwback and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that a song like this is still getting written and put out there in the hopes that, some sort of show that takes place in the 80s will think it's perfect? And I don't know. I mean, because it's not going to be a pop hit on its own, like Chris was saying, but it seems like there could be quite a bit of potential for something like this right now.
I mean, I'm sure that it's still happening, and even though the entertainment industry has kind of come to a halt due to this COVID horseshit, movies are still as formulaic as ever. They're going to want this sort of big, bombastic song that resonates with people in this way. So, absolutely, the pro songwriters are churning these out. I'm convinced of it. And like I said, that bit that Andy dug up, it's just a matter of something. It's like anything else. Any band that put out music and was trying to secure a record deal or find some success in the industry. All it takes is for it to stand out, your material to stand out and capture the attention of one person. It's got to be the right person, obviously, someone in a position to make things happen for you. But Yeah, it's what we talk about all the time, the anti-Vernon McCoach, meaning you put yourself out there, you create stuff, you put it out there, you try and get it in the hands and the ears of people, as many as possible, in hopes that one right person hears it and makes things happen for you. There's just so much luck involved. I mean, you can have all the talent and work ethic in the world, but if you're not fortunate enough to cross paths with that certain person who made things happen to you, and everybody in entertainment, business, whatever it is, everybody has that person in their trajectory. Every successful person has had somebody who opened a door for them and gave them an opportunity. And you just hope to grab that person's attention. And as Paul Stanley said, the roller coaster is about to begin at that point. That's the dream right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, who would have thought?
All right, Hammond! I got a question for you.
Paul Stanley needs to know. Sweet Victory is a rock and roll boner classic. He's curious. He's wondering, hey, should I have taken this one? Could this have been on Kiss album?
Should this have been the first single off of Revenge instead of Unholy? Maybe.
It could have been on Psycho Circus. It would have been better than a handful of songs that made it.
Bruce Fairbairn would have had a field day with material like this, no question about it. This is right up his alley.
Voting. We're thinking. Have you guys ever seen a picture of Bob Kulick without a mustache?
I did today. Somebody posted one. I think it was our boy Kevin Jepson posted a picture of himself next to Bob without the mustache. And here's another thing. He was 70 years old. Mm-hmm. My dad passed away when he was 70, and my dad had a ton of health issues. Ultimately, it was Alzheimer's that took him out, but he had other stuff going on too. I mean, this is what's so kind of shocking about what's happened today is that, Bob looked great. I was shocked to learn that he was 70 years old. I mean, he's in shape. Certainly encountering him in person, there was certainly no sense that he was losing any of his mental capacity. The guy, he could have been 50. Maybe younger than me. He's certainly better shape than it's just kind of shocking and unfortunate, and I can't help but be curious about what happened. But it's just a real shame that that this had to happen. It's shocking.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm just visualizing as we're listening to this drum solo, if Bob were in Kiss instead of Ace, what that would have looked like. And I was thinking, because I'm sure the picture with Kevin Jepson that you said had to be recent. Shaved head, no mustache.
Yeah.
I'm thinking old, 1973, no mustache. I don't even know, did Bob Kulick ever have long hair before, or was he bald back then? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he was bald when he was in Meatloaf with Bruce.
Okay.
Which was a little bit after that.
Yeah. Okay. So he was an early bald guy. He would have had to have worn a wig. Maybe that's why they didn't keep him, or they didn't hire him for Kiss.
Well, I hope someone holds Kiss accountable and they thank them afterwards.
All right. So, are your votes in, guys?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
All right. Let's go Andy, Nick, Chris. Rock.
Roll.
I gotta say no boner on this one.
I don't even
Sorry,
have that
Bob.
clip ready. There it is. No, that's not it.
That's not it.
We don't even have
That
it.
ain't it.
Malfunctions all over.
Yep. So there it is. There you have it. If you disagree with us, we're sorry.
That's just the fucking way it is.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, like I said, if the song, and I guess it shouldn't disqualify it if it's written for some sort of soundtrack or placement in a movie or TV show, but I don't know. If the song can't stand on its own outside of that realm, I have an issue elevating it to Ray Victory-esque rock and roll boner. Although people question, obviously, whether Ray Victory actually ever had a full boner, as we know, which is a lie. But
So he was accused of having a nonchalant sort of protrusion below the belt.
yeah, exactly, which is simply not true. But these are how lies get spread on the internet. But I don't know. I guess maybe because the whole SpongeBob connection is lost on me, and I never saw that delivered in the show. That it's not thrilling me in that way. But on this occasion, I feel the need to justify my vote. So there you go.
All right. Time for a quick word.
Hi, guys. This is Paul Anka, and you're listening to one of my favorite hangout places, Pot of Thunder. Stay tuned and don't miss it daily. They got it down, and they do it my way. Anka, checking out.
Why not? It's been a long time.
Still unbelievable.
It is.
It is that Paul Anka said that.
It's hilarious.
He took a 10 seconds out of his life to say that. It is amazing.
Well, and there we have it. The individual in our lives that made that happen, one Michael Cavaccini. Without him entering our lives, we don't have Paul Anka doing a custom bumper for us.
Yeah. Or three quarters of the original lineup of Kiss either.
Yeah, so that's how that works. Too bad he can't find a way to get us piles of cash, but maybe he's working on that. Who knows?
All right.
He's got his hands full with the Warwick's tits, rather than figure out a way to make us rich. So, but we'll take what we can get. The Paul Anka thing, you can't put a price tag on that. It's incredible.
Yep. All right, guys, you ready? It's that time.
Sing away. Yes, Chief.
It's time for a Yard of Questions. This Yard of Questions comes to us from Paul McDonald. I had McDonald's for lunch today.
Anka.
Oh, Anka. That would be something. All right. Here we go. Great show, guys. Reminds me of hanging out with my friends back east. No filters. All fun. Don't get your panties in a bunch and get me another beer.
That's it right there.
Thank you, Paul.
A lot of people say that about the show, and I take that as a extreme compliment. So thank you for that, Mr. McDonald. Andy's a big fan of your hamburgers.
Went there today.
Did you? What did you have?
I had a double quarter pounder meal.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. It's been a while since I've been to a McDonald's, man. But I'm about to, like, every year or two, I have this just insatiable urge to charge over to it.
Jeez, year or two.
See, for me,
twice a week.
McDonald's is one of those places that's only good for breakfast.
Well, you're not a hamburger guy.
No, I'm not.
So,
although I will say that their ice cream is pretty.
It's among the stupidest things I've ever. Not a hamburger guy. Get out of here with that.
Well, Chris, I want to. Let me just first say thank you for holding me accountable.
Yeah, it's about time somebody did. You should be trending on Twitter. Forget COVID. Forget the race riots in Minneapolis. Nick Jones is not a hamburger guy. Get out of here with that. The stupidest damn thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
Cancel me.
all right.
Anyway.
So question 1. What is the best or worst comeback record? Example for my best is Deep Purple, Perfect Strangers. Love that sitcom.
Andy's a big fan of that album.
And worst,
really, but
and worst is Motley Crue, Generation Swine.
Good choices. So do we have to pick a best and a worst, or was that an or thing?
Well, it said but he gave both, mine. So it's up to you. If you got one of each, whatever you got.
For some reason, I have quickly. So
all right. Well, if Nick's got it quickly,
yeah, I'll have to give it some more thought to a worst, but I've got a best.
I'm Sonic Boom for the best that I could think of offhand, and I'm gonna go. I'm going to go with another album that I purchased when it came out. This one from 1998, I think. I'm Back by James Brown. I'm going to say it's probably the worst comeback album I've ever bought.
I don't remember that one.
And it's not an absolutely terrible album, but it's just, I don't know. It missed the mark, unfortunately.
All right.
Although the song Funk on a Roll was not bad.
Okay, I was going to ask, what was the song from it? Was there a song called I'm Back?
Yeah, that one too.
That one too, okay. All right, Chris, what do you got?
Well, my best would be the return of the original Van Halen lineup, A Different Kind of Truth. Every time I refer to that album, I call it a triumph, and I mean that sincerely. I was definitely among the people who was not too thrilled about the fact that Michael Anthony was replaced by Wolfgang Van Halen on bass. I thought that was extreme nepotism, and wasn't a fan of it, but you know, the energy on that album from these guys who are, you know, well into their 50s, Wolfgang excluded, of course, is impressive, and the material is great. You know, everybody's like, oh, well, these are all the recycled songs. Every fucking studio album the original Van Halen put out was all, not all, but the majority of it was songs that they churned out in their earliest incarnations. They just, you know, brought them back and had them professionally produced and put them out. That's how they were able to put out albums every year, dude. A tour album cycle each year.
Why do people care? Is that just the desire to complain about something? Because it's not like they...
That's it.
That's it. It's not like they re-recorded the songs you already knew. It's not like, you know, they didn't pick songs from their first 3 albums and re-record them and release it as a new album. Who cares when they thought of it?
It's people. Yeah, it's people looking for things to be pissed off about. We've talked about this several times in the show.
That's
People
the way of the world
nowadays are not comfortable unless they're being outraged about something. This latest fucking ridiculousness up in Minneapolis is just serving that up on a silver platter. People are just positively giddy about the fact that they can be all outraged about something, and justifiably so, of course, but it's one thing after another, and people are just been conditioned to feel uncomfortable unless they're pissed off and outraged about something. So the world we live in.
Yeah.
Worst comeback album, I nothing's coming to me, so I'm gonna have to pass on that one. But
Always the politician.
that's me.
All right. Question 2. Lots of musicians pass away in their prime. Who would you bring back to life? And name a musician you would give back to the devil. Wow. I would take Stevie Ray Vaughan back and send Justin Bieber to hell.
Wow.
Give back to the devil.
This irrational hate for Justin Bieber is another. It's like Nick's version of hamburgers. It's like, what? Why is this? How is this guy threatening to you? Just, he's not, supplanting your ability to hear the music you want to hear, especially nowadays. It's like we talked about back in the day about the disco thing. Like, it wasn't making rock music unavailable. You had plenty of opportunities to consume rock music. Why would you feel threatened about disco? Very strange. Strange mindset, Nick. Strange mindset. But if we can send anybody to hell that we want to, well, I'm going to pick one Jeff Lynne. In fact, if ELO came out with any sort of comeback album, you can make that my worst comeback album of all time. They should have never had a Come On album to begin with. They should have never existed. Jeff Lynne should be sent directly to hell. Dead guy who should be brought back. I have to go with Bon Scott on that one. Be interesting to see how that guy, if he was able to age gracefully, so to speak, meaning if he was able to maintain his shtick as he advanced in age. Would have been interesting to see how he evolved or didn't evolve as he added decades to his life.
Nick?
I will say Randy Rhoads would have been. I think there was so much that he was going to do musically, and it was going to be different. Like, you have the metal guys who go into different stuff. Like, you have Alex Skolnick who goes into jazz and things like that. I just think Randy Rhoads would have been all over the place, and he would have been maybe not every band he would have been in would have been great or anything like that, but I think he would have been doing something interesting, and he would have pulled it off on the guitar with whatever he was attempting. And he had the reputation for always wanting to learn and always wanting to get better. So that's too bad we didn't get to see what he would have done. And I don't know the other part of the question. I don't think I hate anybody enough to send them there. So all
right, well, who's a turd?
There are bands. What?
I said, all right, well, who's a turd? Just give us a turd. You don't have to send them to the devil.
Well, let's see. I said this once before, but I'll say instead of sending them to the devil, let's just say that you two never formed.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I'm an individual who respects you two, but I just have no desire to like acquire their albums or listen to them. But yeah, I actually respect you for your disdain for you two. It's one of my favorite things about you, Nick. How much you hate.
You two is the hamburger of rock bands.
Yes. You might even go so far as say they're a hot dog. See, the aversion to hot dogs I get because the whole, how many times have we been inundated with it's the lips and the asshole of the pig in a hot dog, and I can see how that could turn you off to it. But a hamburger, I don't. That's baffling. Can't get off that for some reason.
All right, question 3. Cover songs. What do you like to see? A Van Halenized reboot with a new arrangement, or do you prefer the Dream Theater or Def Leppard note-for-note copy with an updated sonic approach?
That's interesting.
Just cover songs in general that we're talking about?
Yep.
We kind of talked about that last week.
We did, didn't we? Trying to remember what we discussed about it, mainly so I don't contradict myself, but as it stands tonight, I would lean toward putting a band putting its own stamp on it. I mean, not making it unrecognizable from the original, but like kind of putting its own stamp on it. For example, the Jimi Hendrix tribute album, the Stone Free. I had The Cure doing Purple Haze, and that was pretty close to being unrecognizable from the original, but it's fantastic. And you had like Belly doing Are You Experienced, and just a lot of really cool versions on there that I found were a lot more interesting than, say, Clapton's rendition of Stone Free. The title track from it was pretty close to the vest and true to the original. So I prefer my covers to have a little personal slant to them by the band that's doing it.
Nicholas?
I was waiting for you to stop yawning there.
You're not supposed to talk about that. This is our secret.
It's this whole remote video thing. It's giving away too many secrets.
It's that double quarter pounder in them that's starting to take its toll.
Yeah, it's too late.
Not more. What time did you consume that sandwich, Andy?
Like 12:30, so like 11 hours ago.
How are you still awake?
I don't know.
Man, you're gonna be like.
What did you say?
Have you shit it out already?
Twice.
Close to 12 hours.
Twice.
The same sandwich came out twice. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, that alone, two dumps in 12 hours will make you kind of woozy. So.
Well, I'm an athlete when it comes to that.
Oh well, but still, you're not getting any younger.
That's true.
Andy's starting to look like Ace Ventura after the first couple of blow darts hit him.
Yeah, exactly.
Still running. Yeah.
He's not getting younger. No.
It's
a young man's game. Double shits, double quarter pounder meals. Can't maintain that pace forever, my man.
I know. I have this goal in my head to show up back at work once the lockdown's over with and be over 200 pounds. So I'm working on it. Just to weird people out.
I I told my wife the other day when I go back to the office, would it be funny if I got like a hairpiece and had it on when I went in?
Why not? I got a guy. I'll give you his number.
Or just don't even acknowledge it if somebody says, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just say yeah, right.
That's the play it. Just say like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
Yeah, completely oblivious to it. It's like when I worked at the Hard Rock, when I was doing the band thing, and I had like long sideburns, almost like Nick's. Actually, they were pretty spot on, like Nick's, but a full head of hair. I was be working behind the bar, and about 4 or 5 times a day, each shift, somebody would say like, "Has anybody ever told you look like Elvis?" Or they'd say something like, "So do they make you look like Elvis in the work here?" And I would look them right in the eye and go, "Elvis who?" And just the look, the tilt, confused dog head tilt I would get in response to that, and just the dead silence from them was priceless. I never missed an opportunity to do that.
That's the best possible response to that.
Exactly, and based on how you've described your coworkers, that is absolutely the way to attack that if you decide to go that route.
I remember you hired me at the cafe because I looked like Elvis Stoico.
Yeah.
I'm making myself
look like him in order to work there.
Yeah. We already had a Scott Hamilton.
You use the term brontosaurus burger at least once on every shift. So
it probably happened. I followed the rules.
The covers thing. I guess I find that the ones I like the most are they're slightly different as far as the style goes, but they're not like, completely off the wall, unrecognizable, kind of different. Like Chris mentioned Clapton, and it made me think of the Blind Faith album. There's a Buddy Holly cover on there, and it's sort of similar, but it has a part that is totally kind of out of left field that they inserted into it, which I think worked really well. So I like that one. I like when there's a bossa nova, a good bossa nova version of a popular song done by somebody. There's it's kind of obscure. I just acquired this record, but the gentleman is called Earl Grant, and he does a cover of Nat King Cole's "Nature Boy," and it's a bossa nova kind of a thing, and I think it's pretty great. So, B.J. Thomas doing "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry." That's another great one. And it's not entirely off the wall, different stylistically, but it's all of these examples are just a little bit different, but the song's still recognizable.
Didn't he record that when he was going by the moniker Blowjob Thomas? I seem to remember that was when he was before or after he had shortened it to his initials. He was going by his full name.
Oh boy!
Anybody ever tell you look like Blowjob? Blowjob who? Blowjob Thomas, you moron! Who?
Of course.
Jeez. Yeah, there were a couple times people just fired back at me. Elvis Presley, you moron! What do you think I'm talking about? I would just walk away at that point. hilarious.
Like, can I speak to your manager?
Who hired this guy?
I told you about that other time when somebody said that exact thing to me when I was working there. Mm-hmm. So I was up by the front podium, and some guy asked me where Michael Jordan's restaurant is. At the time, it was at LaSalle in Illinois, and the Hard Rock was Clark in Ontario. So I go, yeah, it's you go 2 blocks down to LaSalle, you make a left, and you go 2 blocks down LaSalle to Illinois, and it's right there on the corner. And the guy goes, great, how far away is that? And I go, about 4 blocks. And he immediately asked to speak to my manager. Thought I was being like a wise ass. It's like, what do you want me to tell you? It's fucking 1/4 mile? I don't fucking know. I just told you it's 4 blocks away.
Yeah, 2 + 2 is 4. I don't know.
Yeah.
What did he want? You think he wanted to know how many miles, like in mileage?
Oh.
Horse's ass.
Asshole wanted to know. but yeah, he pulled like they call it nowadays a Karen, where some entitled white woman with a bad hairdo demands to speak to the manager about everything. It's wrong with her experience in a retail job or restaurant. I got the same treatment from this prick. Unbelievable. I wasn't even trying to be a wise ass, and he reported me to my manager for being a wise ass. How do you like them apples?
How did your manager feel about it?
Hey, he didn't put any stock in it.
That's good. You know, the other thing I remember you told me you used to do, which you couldn't pull off anymore, is people would come in there and want you to take photos of their group.
Oh, yes, I would. They would give me their camera and ask to get, photographs of themselves or their family by one of the, outfits or guitars or whatever that was on the wall, and I would invariably just cut their heads off, just shoot them from the chest out, and, when they got home, developed their filled. Completely ruined. And I wonder why bad things have happened in my life, There
you go.
From pulling stuff like that is proof that there is payback in this world. So.
Well, you know how many people were upset when they got home and their picture next to Kim Tail's guitar was completely ruined.
They probably called the manager. Said Elvis ruined our family's vacation.
Along those lines, the other funny thing along those lines is when I would see people with like a video camera standing in front of a guitar and just filming a static 30-second shot of a guitar hanging on a wall with a fucking video camera. It's like, what are you doing? Just get your regular camera out. Video is supposed to have movement. You're standing here with one of those big honking video cameras from the 90s, aiming it at a guitar on the wall and standing there for 30 minutes. What's up with that? Ridiculous. People are morons.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Paul McDonald, for your Yardo questions.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you, the listener, wants to submit your Yardo questions, go to potofthunder.com. Make that happen. It's so easy to do. You can add songs to our listener submission list. Again, it doesn't matter if you add one today or if you added one January of 2019 when we started doing Season 2 of Pot of Thunder. Your chance is just as good of getting picked, so make it happen. Add some cool stuff on there, and assuming nothing crazy happens next week, we should be back to choosing songs from that list. And, ooh, I think it's my turn.
Yeah, and close it out by just offering up our unified respect to Bob, condolences to Bruce, obviously, and just, real shame that it happened. A great figure in the history of Kiss and in the history of music. So sorry to see him go today.
Yeah, it's a sad day. I mean, God bless him, keep him always. And I just want to say that I am very, very grateful that I had the chance to get a photo with him, get his autograph, and talk to him a little bit.
Very cool, and yes, very sad, but hopefully we made you smile a little bit with this week's show. Our tribute to Bob Kulick. So thank you very much, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.